Officer William Mercer sat in his police car, tapping his fingers on the steering wheel. Rain hit the windshield as he watched the community center across the street. 15 years on the police force had changed him. He used to smile more. He used to care more. Now he just felt tired and angry most days. His radio crackled. Disturbance at Westridge Community Center. Reports of teenagers vandalizing property. Mercer sighed and grabbed the radio. Officer Mercer responding. This was the third call about teens causing trouble this week. When he pulled up to the center, a group of teenagers scattered like birds. Only one remained, a young black girl in a blue hoodie standing next to a freshly painted wall. Bright red graffiti marked the building's side. A spray can lay on the ground near her feet. Don't move! Mercer shouted as he got out of his car. The girl turned, her eyes widening. Officer, I didn't do this, she said, raising her hands. I was trying to stop them. Mercer wasn't listening. He'd heard every excuse before. The evidence seemed clear, the spray can, the fresh paint, and her alone at the scene. He pulled out his handcuffs. Ruby Thompson, age 17, he read from her student ID after searching her backpack. You're under arrest for vandalism of public property. Please, Ruby said, her voice shaking. Call my father. This is a mistake. An older woman hurried over from the community center. Officer, she's telling the truth. I saw everything from the window. She was trying to take the spray can away from the boys who ran off. Mercer hardly glanced at the woman. He'd already made up his mind. You can make a statement at the station, he told her dismissively. As he guided Ruby into the back of his patrol car, she looked him directly in the eyes. My father will hear about this, she said quietly. Mercer chuckled. They all say that. He slammed the door and got in the driver's seat. At the police station, the booking process felt endless to Ruby. They took her photo and fingerprints. An officer put her belongings in a plastic bag. When she asked to call her father, the desk sergeant told her she'd have to wait. Rules are rules, he said without looking up from his computer. Ruby was led to a holding cell with a metal bench and a small window too high to see through. The door closed with a heavy clang. For the first time since her arrest, tears filled her eyes. She wiped them away quickly. Her father had always taught her to stay strong, even when things seemed unfair. A middle-aged officer named Emma walked by and noticed Ruby sitting alone. She stopped and looked at the girl's file. You're just a kid, Emma said softly. First time in trouble? Ruby nodded. I didn't do anything wrong. I was trying to stop some boys from painting the wall. When they saw the police car, they ran away and left me holding the spray can. Something in Ruby's voice made Emma believe her. I'll see what I can do, she said before walking away. Meanwhile, across town, Police Chief Robert Thompson was in a meeting when his phone buzzed. He ignored it at first, but when it buzzed 3 more times, he excused himself to check it. 3 missed calls from the community center director. 1 text message, Ruby was arrested. She didn't do anything wrong. Officer Mercer took her away. Chief Thompson's heart nearly stopped. His daughter? Arrested? He immediately called the station. This is Chief Thompson. Was a teenage girl brought in recently? Ruby Thompson? The desk sergeant's voice changed instantly. Sir, yes, about an hour ago. Officer Mercer brought her in for vandalism at the community center. And no one thought to contact me, the chief asked, his voice dangerously calm. Sir, we didn't make the connection. She asked to make a call, but... I'll be there in 10 minutes, Chief Thompson said, ending the call. As he drove to the station, his mind raced. Officer Mercer had been a problem for months now, too quick to judge, too slow to listen. The chief had given him multiple warnings about his conduct. And now this. When Chief Thompson arrived at the station, officers stood straighter as he walked through the door. The desk sergeant looked deeply uncomfortable. Where is my daughter? Chief Thompson asked. Holding cell 3, sir, the sergeant replied. And Officer Mercer is in the break room. The chief nodded. Get my daughter out of that cell right now. Then tell Officer Mercer I want to see him in my office immediately. As the sergeant hurried away, Chief Thompson took a deep breath. This wasn't just about his daughter anymore. This was about justice, fairness, and the kind of police force he wanted to lead. Ruby sat on the cold metal bench, her back straight despite her fear. The cell was small with gray walls and a tiny window too high to see through. She had never felt so alone. A noise at the door made her look up. Officer Emma returned with a paper cup of water. Drink this, Emma said kindly. Someone's looking into your case now. Ruby took the cup with shaking hands. Thank you. Emma hesitated, then sat on the bench beside her. You don't look like a troublemaker to me. I'm not, Ruby said. My dad always says doing the right thing isn't always easy. I tried to stop those boys from damaging the center. We have art classes there every weekend. Her voice cracked. I love that place. Emma nodded. Sometimes officers make mistakes. We're human too. The radio on Emma's belt crackled. Officer Peterson to the front desk. Immediately. Emma stood up. That's me. Hold tight, okay? I have a feeling things are about to change. After Emma left, Ruby closed her eyes and thought about her father. He'd taught her about dignity and patience her whole life. The system isn't perfect, he often said, but good people are working to make it better. She wondered if he knew where she was right now. Meanwhile, Chief Thompson stormed through the station. Officers moved out of his way, sensing his anger. When he reached the front desk, he found the sergeant looking pale. Sir, we're preparing to release your daughter now. I want to see the arrest report, the chief said, his voice level despite his anger. And the security footage from the community center. The sergeant swallowed hard. Right away, sir. In the break room, Officer Mercer was pouring coffee when Officer Emma entered. You might want to prepare yourself, she said. The girl you brought in? Ruby Thompson? She's the chief's daughter. Mercer's coffee cup froze halfway to his lips. What? And the community center director called. They have video showing she was trying to stop the vandalism, not cause it. The cup slipped from Mercer's hand, shattering on the floor. That's impossible. She was standing right there with the spray can. Sometimes things aren't what they seem, Emma said. The chief wants to see you. Now. Mercer's stomach twisted as he walked to the chief's office. He'd been on thin ice for months. Too many complaints about his attitude. Too quick to judge. Too slow to listen. And now this. He knocked on the chief's door. Enter. Chief Thompson sat behind his desk, looking at a computer screen. On it was paused security footage from the community center. He didn't look up as Mercer entered. Sit down, the chief said. Mercer sat, his uniform suddenly feeling too tight. Chief Thompson pressed play on the video. It showed Ruby clearly trying to take a spray can away from a group of boys. When a police car pulled up, the boys ran, leaving Ruby holding the evidence. Did you see any of this? The chief asked. No, sir. I just saw her with the spray can. Did you listen when Mrs. Davis from the center tried to tell you what happened? Mercer looked down. I told her to make a statement at the station. And did she? I don't know, sir. The chief turned off the monitor. She did. 20 minutes ago. Along with the security footage. He leaned forward. You arrested my daughter without proper cause. You denied her right to a phone call. You ignored a witness at the scene. Sir, I didn't know she was your daughter. That's not the point. The chief's fist hit the desk. It shouldn't matter whose daughter she is. Every person deserves fair treatment. Mercer had no answer. Wait here, the chief said, standing up. I'm going to get my daughter. When Chief Thompson reached the holding cell, Ruby jumped to her feet. He hugged her tightly. "Dad! How did you know I was here?" "The community center director called me." "Are you okay?" Ruby nodded. "I'm fine. Just angry. He didn't listen to me at all." The chief looked at his daughter with pride. Even in this situation, she was strong. "I've seen the video. You were trying to do the right thing. Those boys have been causing trouble for weeks. I recognized one of them from school." Chief Thompson put his arm around her shoulders. "Let's get your things. Then I need you to meet someone." When they entered the chief's office, Officer Mercer stood up quickly. Seeing Ruby with the chief made the reality of his mistake hit home. "Ruby," the chief said, "this is Officer Mercer. He has something to say to you." Mercer looked at the teenager he had wrongfully arrested. She met his gaze without flinching. "I'm sorry," he said. "I made a mistake. I didn't investigate properly. I didn't listen." Ruby studied him for a long moment. "Why not?" The simple question hung in the air. Mercer had no good answer. "That's what we need to figure out," the chief said. "Because this isn't just about today. It's about making sure it doesn't happen to anyone else." As they left the station, Ruby turned to her father. "What will happen to him?" The chief looked thoughtful. "That depends. On whether he's willing to learn from this. On whether he can change." Ruby nodded. "Everyone deserves a second chance. But only if they really want to change." Her father smiled sadly. "When did you get so wise?" "I had a good teacher," she said, taking his hand as they walked to the car. The next morning, Officer Mercer sat in his car outside the police station. His hands gripped the steering wheel tightly. He had barely slept. The look on Ruby's face kept appearing in his mind, not angry, but disappointed. It bothered him more than if she had shouted at him. His phone buzzed with a text from the chief, "My office." 8 a.m. Mercer checked his watch. 7:45. He took a deep breath and entered the building. Fellow officers gave him curious looks as he walked by. Word had spread quickly about what happened with the chief's daughter. When he knocked on Chief Thompson's door, he heard a firm come in. The chief wasn't alone. A woman in her 50s with kind eyes and a no-nonsense expression sat across from him. "Officer Mercer, this is Dr. Linda Palmer. She runs our community outreach program and counseling services." Mercer nodded politely, confused about why she was there. "Sit down," the chief said, pointing to an empty chair. "We need to talk about yesterday. And about your future on this force." Mercer's stomach dropped. This was it. He was going to be fired. "I've reviewed your record," Chief Thompson continued. 6 complaints in the past year about aggressive behavior. 3 cases where evidence was overlooked. This isn't who you used to be." Mercer looked down at his hands. "No, sir." "What happened to you, William?" the chief asked, his voice softer now. "You were one of our best officers when you started." The question caught Mercer off guard. He had expected anger, not concern. "I don't know," he said honestly. "The job changes you. You see the worst of people day after day." Dr. Palmer spoke up. "It's called compassion fatigue. Many officers experience it. But there are ways to address it before it affects your judgment." The chief slid a folder across the desk. "You have 2 options. Option 1, I start formal disciplinary proceedings, which will likely end your career here." Mercer's throat tightened. "Option 2, the chief continued, you take a temporary reassignment to community services under Dr. Palmer. You'll also attend mandatory counseling sessions and bias training." Mercer looked up in surprise. "You're not firing me?" "Not yet," Chief Thompson said firmly. "My daughter said something that stuck with me. She said everyone deserves a second chance, but only if they really want to change." The words hit Mercer hard. She said that? After what I did? She did. The question is, do you want to change, Officer Mercer? Later that afternoon, Ruby sat with her friends in the school cafeteria. She hadn't told them about her arrest yet. It felt too raw, too personal. Earth to Ruby, her friend Thomas waved a hand in front of her face. You okay? You've been quiet all day. Ruby forced a smile. Just thinking about the community center. The wall's still damaged from yesterday. That sucks, Thomas said. Those guys are jerks. You should have let them get caught. That's not the point, Ruby said. The center matters to a lot of people. The little kids who take art classes there don't deserve to see their special place ruined. Her phone buzzed with a text from her father, coming home early tonight. We need to talk about something important. After school, Ruby walked to the community center. She wanted to see the damage in daylight. The red graffiti covered part of a mural that local children had painted last summer. It made her sad and angry all over again. Quite a mess, isn't it? Ruby turned to find Mrs. Davis, the center director, standing behind her. I'm so sorry about what happened to you yesterday, Mrs. Davis said. Your father called me this morning. He's a good man. Ruby nodded. He is. He tries to be fair, even when it's hard. The police are sending someone tomorrow to help clean this up, Mrs. Davis said. Part of some new community service program. That evening, Ruby found her father in the kitchen making dinner. The table was set for two. Spaghetti night, he said with a smile. Your favorite. Over dinner, Chief Thompson told Ruby about his meeting with Officer Mercer. He's agreed to the reassignment and the training. His first assignment is helping clean up the graffiti at the community center. Ruby's fork paused halfway to her mouth. Really? How did he take that? Better than I expected, her father said. I think yesterday was a wake-up call for him. Ruby was quiet for a moment. Do you think people like that can really change? Chief Thompson considered the question. I believe they can, but it's hard work. It means facing your mistakes and biases. Not everyone is willing to do that. Why are you giving him another chance? Ruby asked. After what he did? Partly because of what you said, her father replied. About second chances. And partly because 15 years ago, Officer Mercer was one of our most compassionate officers. Something changed him. I want to see if we can bring that person back. Ruby thought about this. I hope it works. But if it doesn't? Then he won't be an officer in this department anymore, Chief Thompson said firmly. My job is to protect this community, all of it. That includes you and every other young person who might encounter an officer like William Mercer. Ruby nodded, feeling a strange mix of emotions, pride in her father, anger at Officer Mercer, but also a tiny spark of hope that maybe, just maybe, something good could come from what happened. When is he starting at the community center? She asked. Tomorrow morning, her father said. Why? Ruby set down her fork. I think I might stop by. The next morning was Saturday, bright and cool. Officer Mercer arrived at the community center in jeans and an old t-shirt instead of his uniform. He felt naked without his badge and gun. A police van was parked outside, filled with cleaning supplies and paint. Mrs. Davis met him at the entrance. Good morning, Officer Mercer. The supplies are ready. We need to clean the wall first, then prime it, then paint. Mercer nodded. I'm ready to work. Good, Mrs. Davis said. Because this will take all day. As Mercer unloaded the van, he noticed someone watching from across the street. It was Ruby Thompson, wearing a paint-splattered t-shirt and carrying a backpack. His heart sank. Was she here to watch him being punished? Ruby crossed the street slowly and stopped a few feet away from him. Morning, she said simply. Good morning, Mercer replied, not knowing what else to say. I didn't expect to see you here. It's Saturday, Ruby said. I volunteer here on Saturdays. Mrs. Davis came back outside. Ruby. Perfect timing. We're about to start the cleanup. That's why I'm here, Ruby said, never taking her eyes off Officer Mercer. I want to help. Mercer couldn't hide his surprise. You want to help? After what I did? Ruby shrugged. This place matters to me. More than being angry at you. They worked in awkward silence for the first hour. Mercer scrubbed at the graffiti while Ruby prepared the paint trays. The red spray paint was stubborn, refusing to come off easily. You need to use the special remover, Ruby finally said, handing him a different bottle. Regular cleaner won't work on spray paint. Mercer took the bottle. Thanks. Why did you do it? Ruby asked suddenly. Arrest me without listening? Mercer's hands stopped moving. He'd been asking himself the same question for 2 days. I saw what I expected to see, he admitted. A teenager, graffiti, spray can. I filled in the rest without thinking. But I tried to tell you, Ruby said, her voice steady. So did Mrs. Davis. I know. Mercer started scrubbing again. I'd been a cop for 15 years. Somewhere along the way, I stopped listening. Stopped seeing people as people. Ruby didn't respond right away. She mixed paint in a tray, thinking. My dad says the job can change you if you're not careful, she finally said. Your dad is a good man, Mercer said. A good cop too. He wasn't always the chief, Ruby said. He worked his way up. Saw the same things you've seen. Mercer hadn't thought about that before. Chief Thompson had walked the same beat, handled the same calls, faced the same dangers. How does he do it? Mercer asked. Stay so, fair? Ruby dipped a roller in paint. He says you have to remember why you became a cop in the first place. The words hit Mercer hard. Why had he become a cop? To help people. To make a difference. Somewhere along the way, he'd forgotten that. By noon, they had cleaned the wall and applied primer. Mrs. Davis brought them sandwiches and cold drinks. The mural team is coming tomorrow, she told them. Today we just need to get the wall ready with the base coat. As they ate lunch, more volunteers arrived, mostly teenagers like Ruby. They greeted her warmly but gave Mercer curious looks. That's the cop who arrested you, one boy whispered to Ruby, not quietly enough. That's Officer Mercer, Ruby corrected him. He's helping us fix the wall. After lunch, they started applying the white base coat. More volunteers meant the work went faster. Mercer found himself working side by side with a boy named Thomas. You're Ruby's friend? Mercer asked. Since first grade, Thomas said, carefully painting near a window. She's the best person I know. Always standing up for people. Like when she tried to stop the vandals? Mercer asked. Thomas nodded. That's Ruby. Never thinks about herself. Shame washed over Mercer again. He had arrested a teenager who was only trying to do the right thing. By late afternoon, the wall was transformed clean and bright white, ready for the new mural. As they cleaned up, Ruby approached Mercer. Nice work today, she said. The mural team comes tomorrow at 10. They could use help. Mercer hesitated. Tomorrow's my day off. I was only assigned to help today. Ruby shrugged. Just thought I'd mention it. She turned to leave. Ruby, Mercer called after her. Why did you come today? Really? She looked back at him. My dad says you used to be one of the good ones. I wanted to see if that person was still in there somewhere. And? Mercer asked, afraid of her answer. Ruby gave him a small smile. I think he might be. See you tomorrow, Officer Mercer. As Ruby walked away, Mercer realized he had been holding his breath. He looked at the clean wall, then at his paint-covered hands. For the first time in years, he felt something he had almost forgotten, a sense of having done something good, something right. Tomorrow, he said to himself. 10 o'clock. 3 months later, the community center buzzed with activity. Children and teenagers filled the art room, working on projects while music played softly in the background. Through the window, the new mural could be seen, a colorful scene of diverse hands joining together to form a tree, its branches reaching toward the sky. Officer Mercer stood in the doorway, watching Ruby help a young boy with his painting. She noticed him and waved him over. "Officer Mercer, this is Danny. He's our newest art student." Mercer smiled at the boy. "Nice to meet you, Danny. That's a great painting." The boy beamed with pride. "Ruby taught me how to mix colors." "She's a good teacher," Mercer said, and he meant it. Much had changed in the 3 months since the first day of cleaning the wall. Officer Mercer had completed his training programs with Dr. Palmer. He had faced uncomfortable truths about himself and his behavior. Most importantly, he had started to remember why he became a police officer in the first place. Now, every Saturday, he volunteered at the community center, helping with the youth program that Ruby had suggested to her father. During the week, he worked as part of the community policing team, walking the streets instead of driving, getting to know the people he had sworn to protect. "The chief wants to see you," Ruby told him after Danny returned to his painting. "He's in Mrs. Davis's office." Mercer nodded. "Thanks. How's your college application coming along?" Ruby grinned. "Sent it yesterday. Criminal justice program." "They'd be lucky to have you," Mercer said sincerely. He found Chief Thompson reviewing paperwork with Mrs. Davis. "You wanted to see me, sir?" The chief stood up. "Yes. Walk with me." They stepped outside into the bright afternoon. The community center's playground was filled with children laughing and playing. "Your temporary assignment ends next week," Chief Thompson said. "Dr. Palmer has submitted her final report on your progress." Mercer's stomach tightened. This was the moment he had been both hoping for and dreading. Would he be allowed to return to regular duty? Or was this the end of his career? "And," he asked, trying to keep his voice steady, "she says you've shown remarkable growth. Self-awareness. Empathy." The chief turned to face him. "I've seen it too." Mercer let out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. "Thank you, sir." "Don't thank me yet," Chief Thompson said. "I have a proposal for you. We're expanding the youth outreach program. It needs a full-time officer to run it." Mercer looked surprised. "You want me to lead the program?" "You've earned the trust of these kids. They respect you. And you understand why this work matters." "Because of Ruby," Mercer said quietly. The chief nodded. "My daughter taught you something I couldn't as your boss. She showed you what was at stake." Inside the center, Ruby watched through the window as her father and Officer Mercer talked. 3 months ago, she never would have believed they could work together like this. But people could change. She had seen it happen. The door opened, and both men walked back inside. "Ruby," her father called. "Can you join us for a minute?" She put down her paintbrush and walked over. "What's up?" "Officer Mercer has some news," Chief Thompson said. Mercer smiled. "I'm going to be running the youth outreach program full-time. Your father just offered me the position." Ruby's eyes widened. "That's great. Does that mean you'll be here more often?" "4 days a week," Mercer nodded. "And I wanted to ask for your help. You know these kids better than anyone. This program should reflect what they need." Ruby couldn't help but think about that day 3 months ago, sitting alone in a cell, feeling helpless and angry. If someone had told her then that she would be working side by side with the officer who arrested her, she would never have believed it. "I'm in," she said. "On one condition." "What's that?" Mercer asked. "The kids need to know your story. Our story. About mistakes and second chances." Mercer looked at Chief Thompson, who nodded in agreement. It's not an easy story to tell, Mercer admitted. The important ones never are, Ruby said. Later that evening, Ruby and her father walked home together. Did I make the right call? Chief Thompson asked. About Officer Mercer? Ruby thought about it. Yes. He's not the same person he was that day. Neither are you, her father observed. You're stronger. More determined. Ruby nodded. I used to think I wanted to be a lawyer. Now I'm thinking more about policy work. Changing systems, not just defending people one at a time. Chief Thompson put his arm around his daughter's shoulders. Whatever you choose, you'll make a difference. As they reached their house, Ruby stopped on the porch steps. Dad? Thank you for showing me what justice really looks like. How's that? He asked. It's not about punishment, Ruby said. It's about growth. Change. Making things better than they were before. Chief Thompson smiled at his daughter with pride. From one terrible mistake had come understanding, growth, and transformation, not just for Officer Mercer, but for Ruby too. Sometimes the hardest moments in life became the most important turning points.